All right, well, good morning, everyone. Great to have you here with us today. I know it was a bit of an interesting question. Apparently, Sonia did love it, but generally, what's everyone's favourite flower? Come on, surely you got one. Yes. The rose, nice, smooth. Orchid. Anyone else?
Chameleon rose, because they change colour.
Actually? Wow, how? Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyone else? Come on, surely. All right, fine, whatever. That's cool. My favourite flower is the chrysanthemum or something like that, I think is what it's called. But I also really like, we've got these ones out the front here. They're called the birds of prey because they actually look like a bird when they like open up or something like that. Bird of paradise, whatever. I prefer bird of prey, it sounds cooler. But whatever, I really like those ones because it actually looks like an animal. But the reason that I am talking about plants and flowers is because, as you can see, I've got a little ficus here today. And one of my favorite things to do is to watch plants grow. Now, I don't mean like sitting out on the back porch, like with binoculars, just like watching plants and be like, oh, is that a leaf slowly unfurling? But I mean the ability to look at a plant and see how it's been growing. See, this plant, it doesn't look like much, but this was the easiest one to transport in the car without spilling it. Because I don't know if you guys have ever done that. You go buy a plant at Bunnings and then you drive around a corner and all of a sudden it tips over and you got just... Yeah, a few people have done it. Soil all in the back of your car. It's gross. So I put this one in the car and I seat belted it in. Stayed nice and upright for me, which is great. But it's been growing. It used to be a lot smaller, like about like this big. And it's got a few little like buds coming through. I don't know if you can see it, but like just here, there's a little thing here. That's going to be a future leaf. There's one down here as well. That's going to be a future leaf. I don't know, this stalk looks like it's dead, but that's okay. You know, like sometimes something has to die so that other things can live. But you know, like there's a few little like leaves coming through here, which I love. I love seeing it. My wife and I had this one plant in particular that was like flowering at one point, and you could leave in the morning and it would have like a little bud, and you're like, oh, it's about to like, I don't know, flower. And then you come back at the end of the day and it was basically open, ready to go. You're like, wow, that's so cool. Like seeing that happen is the coolest. Because sometimes it's hard to look at our own lives and see where the growth happens. Now, for some of you, it's really easy because in the last 12 months, you've literally grown a whole foot. You know, like all of a sudden you're an absolute giant. Because I remember so many of you when I first got here nearly 5 years ago were shorter than me. And now you're all like taller than me. So like we can see the physical growth. And you know, some of you will have those little marks on your wall from back in the day where you're like, look how little I was and now look where I am now. Like we can see the physical growth. Right? That's easy. Some of you are clearly stronger or faster than you used to be. That stuff's simple. But what about the type of growth that you can't see? You know, if I was to ask you this question, in the last 12 months, are you more patient than you were? What's the answer? Yes? Yes? Zave thinks he's more patient. Nice, I like that. If I asked you the question, are you kinder to people than you were 12 months ago? Are you more gracious? Are you more forgiving? Are you more joyful? You know, are you more loving? If I was to ask you these questions personally and you had to answer me, what would you say? Would you be able to see that growth? Now, for some of you, you would, right? But we can't always see that stuff happen all the time. It's so small and it's intangible. And, you know, one day we feel like we're really nice and kind to people, and the next day, for some reason, we wake up on the wrong side of the bed and all our friend does is just one small annoying thing and we're like, nah, that's it, I can't deal with it. We throw their pencil case off the table. You know, like we don't have any patience at all. And it feels like, am I making any progress? Am I growing? The challenge is, when we come to this, we can see a plant and we can see it grow, and we know what it takes to make a plant grow, right? Anyone got any ideas of what it takes to make a plant grow? Yes, great. Water, love it. Anyone else? Sunlight, yeah. Or light in general, yep. Anyone else? Come on. Wow, we don't have any, yeah, great. Yes, good soil makes all the difference. I don't know if you know this as well, but you can actually buy things that it's like fertilizer, but they call it plant food. And it comes in like a little bottle with like a little dropper. My wife has it and she just like drops it on here to just give it the food that it needs to survive. Like you need fertilizer, you need nutrients for the plant to grow as well. You also need to make sure you got a big enough pot enough room for them to grow, because if you get a really small pot, it won't grow very big. All of those things matter in terms of the growth of a plant, and it's easy to know that and then change those things. If you want a plant to grow, put some water in it. If you want it to die, which is sad and sick, why would you do that? Intentionally anyway. Stop getting them water. Like we know what we can and can't do. But if I was to ask you, what does it take to help you grow? Now again, not physically, because that's again really simple. Eat lots of food, get lots of sleep, drink lots of water, you'll be fine. But what does it take for you to grow? If I was to say in 12 months' time, so we're coming back here 12 months from now, and you say, I actually do want to be more patient, I do want to be kinder to people, I do want to love people better, I do want to be someone who is more joyful, I do want to be someone who is growing in those areas, I was to ask you, how would you do that? Do you have an answer? It's a little bit trickier, isn't it? Because you kind of don't necessarily know. How do I grow in these areas? And if I was to ask you this question, to really bring it home for us in our relationship with Jesus, in the last 12 months, have you seen your relationship with Jesus grow? How'd you answer that question? Again, I'm not going to ask you to nod your head or shake your head. We don't need to worry about that. Some of you might be sitting here going, yeah, actually, it's been a great 12 months. Some of you might be sitting here going, actually, no, it's not. I've got a lot of doubts. In fact, you ask that question, has your relationship been growing with Jesus? And I go, I don't even know if I really believe in God or faith or any of that kind of stuff anymore. And that's okay too. Because this isn't a question that's meant to bring judgment. It's just a question that's meant to help us assess where we're at. Have we seen growth? Have we seen decline? Have we decided that maybe we don't even agree or believe in it at all? All of those answers are totally fine and welcome here. You don't have to believe to sit in these pews. We just love having you here each and every week. But if I asked that question, have you seen growth? And if I was to ask you the question, how do you think it grows? How do you think your faith grows? I'm sure some of us would have the simple answers, prayer, Bible, all that kind of stuff, for sure. But I do think there's another couple of factors that are really important for us to look at. And today we're going to look at it in Psalm chapter 1. We're finishing our Psalms for the Soul series at the beginning of the Psalms. Psalm chapter 1. And we're going to read today from Psalm 1, verses 1 to 3. So if you have your Bibles with you, feel free to open them up. Otherwise, it is on the screen behind you. But it says this. It says, blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked or stand in the way that sinners take or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord and who meditates on his law day and night. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. And I find it interesting that this psalm, and in fact all of the psalms, start with this idea of growth. Starts talking about this idea of what does it look like for us to grow and thrive. And see, the word blessed is a word that for many of us, we may not fully understand its original meaning in this context, right? For many of us, we see the word blessed used today when basically people get good things or luxurious items or get to live what is considered the good life. It's the people who seem to have a hottie on their arm, or they've just got the brand new Apple Watch 7, which isn't even any different to the Apple Watch 6 other than it's got a slightly bigger screen. It's the people with the new iPhone, it's the people with all of these new things, it's the new car, it's whatever it is. These are the people who are apparently #blessed. I hate seeing that thing up there, but that's kind of how we use that word. It often means, in our phrase and our idea today, abundance and luxury. That's kind of what it means to be blessed. But the person writing this psalm most likely has a toilet that is a hole in the ground. It's just the reality of the time that they lived in. They don't have fancy toilets or any of that sort of stuff, definitely no bidets, but they did have toilets in the backyard, and yet apparently you could still be blessed. Now, I don't know about you, but even hearing some of the stories where it's like Jesus had to wash the disciples' feet, and the preachers are often like, and they just wore sandals, and they probably stepped in poo and dirt, and it was gross, and you're like, oh yeah, that sounds like the blessed life. But this idea of the word blessed is actually something different. See, when we read it in the Bible, the word blessed, we often see it closely associated with its antonym, the opposite of it, which is the word curse. Sometimes you read the Bible and it says, bless others, do not curse them. So sometimes we can find what the meaning of the word is by looking at the opposite of it. And these two words do go in opposite directions. We've got blessing we've got cursing. And I'm not talking about swear words or words that your parents won't let you say at home, but you probably say at school. I'm talking about the words here that mean blessing and mean cursing. And here's the bigger picture idea of what they mean. This. First, to bless someone is to speak something that brings life to them, or brings hope to them, or brings faith to them. That is what it means in this, to bless someone. You know, when we kind of say, oh, wow, that was such a blessing that they said that to me. I don't know if you've ever had that, but, we have those kind of phrases. To bless someone is to speak something that brings life into them. So you might not have ever thought of someone giving you a blessing before, but often those moments when you're feeling discouraged and someone gives you an encouragement, that is them blessing you. One of those moments where you feel like you've got a situation that you're going through and you ask someone to pray for you and they do, that is them blessing you. Speaking words that bring life, hope, and faith into your life. And in those moments, I don't know, maybe you felt like giving up and you didn't, you persevered and you were so glad you did. Or maybe you saw something in that situation that you prayed for change. Whatever it was, those words helped bring life, hope, and faith into your world. Words of blessing. So the word of cursing is this idea of the opposite. It's something that makes your kind of like world smaller. It's something that wishes ill upon you. It's something that is desiring for you not to thrive, but to, shrivel up and die. Kind of like that's the opposite of thriving, right? Shriveling up and dying. And so to curse someone, again, we've been on the receiving end of this, does that. Maybe you've received some words from some people that were pretty harsh, some pretty strong criticism. Maybe you've heard people gossiping or slandering you behind your back. Maybe you've just had someone point out something about you that you'd never noticed before, and now you have a complex and you're self-conscious about it all the time, right? These things that have been said to you most often take your courage, take your hope, and make you feel less about yourself. So your world gets smaller. You might give up on something. You might think less of yourself. These words, these things are a curse, right? They make your world smaller. Death words is kind of like that. So we've got blessing and we've got cursing. And so we got this. To be blessed is to be encouraged towards life, towards faith, towards hope, and ultimately to be in a position to thrive. And so we see that the start of this psalm is the word blessed. Blessed is the one. Growing, thriving is the one. And what is it that this psalm focuses on? Two things. Two things that are so important for us to focus on. But what I also want you to focus on is this idea of blessed. He uses the image of a tree being planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season and whose leaf does not wither. That is a plant, that is a tree that is thriving. So, if we do these things that the psalmist mentions, we will be blessed, which means we will be growing and thriving and producing fruit and living life the way that it was meant to be. And he focuses on these two things. Don't know if you picked it up, but it says this: blessed is the one who does. He's about to tell us, what do we need to do? Not, so there's something we need to stop doing. He's like, blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers. This is all about the company that you keep. Who are the people that you're spending your time with? And in this, he's talking about people who spend time with the wicked, with the sinners, or in the company of mockers, right? So he's saying these people are not people of good character, not people who are actually helpful for a thriving life. You will be blessed if you don't have them as your inner circle. So one, who you keep your company with, and then he flips. So don't keep company with these people, but if you do, what? Delight in the law of the Lord and meditate on the law day and night, then what? That person is like a tree planted by a stream of water, growing and thriving. So the psalmist is asking this question. Well, he's making this point, really. If you want a blessed, thriving life, you need to be careful of who you keep company with and what you're learning and thinking about. These are the two key things. And I think that's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. I mean, we can think about it, right? We can already think about the company that we keep. I don't know about you, but I talk about this all the time because it's such an important principle. Sociologists, psychologists, so many people say you are the sum total of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. and you know this and you've experienced this, you think about it. Think about maybe even just like 12 months ago, some of the things that you listened to, some of the clothes that you wear, some of the things that you were interested in. Now think about if a new friend came into your life in the last 12 months and how you've adopted some of those things. Maybe you say some of their phrases. Maybe you listen to some of their music. Maybe you got your Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year and it was totally different because you had a friend who introduced you to new music and you loved it, and now all of a sudden you listen to it all the time, right? These people are influencing your life. It's just a reality. People that you spend time with influence your life. They influence how you think, they influence how you talk, they influence how you act, they influence how you dress, they influence what you listen to, all of these things. It's an important principle for us to understand. And the question that is posed to us is, what is the character of those that we're spending our time with? Are these people who are actually helping us take those steps of growth, actually helping us be people who are more loving, more kind, more generous, more thoughtful, more caring? Are they doing that? Are they helping you believe in yourself? Do they speak life to you? Do they bless you with the words that they say? With the way that they think of you, speak of you? Do they have your back? You know, when people talk about you behind your back, do they keep it going or do they shut it down? You know, things like that. Are these people the right people to have in your life? Because over the next 8 weeks, you actually get a fair bit of freedom about who you're going to spend your time with. See, it's always tricky when you're at school because, let's be real, you're a little bit dictated to by the classes that you get and who is in those classes. Like, you can't just walk into that room and be like, I'm sorry, miss. My youth pastor said I need to be careful of the company that I keep and don't necessarily want to be in a room with these people. I'd rather be in this class over here. They're like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll just rework the whole scheduling system just for you to have a different class. Like, that's just not how it works, right? So you don't necessarily get a huge say about who you get to spend all this time with. Get a little bit of a say at recess and lunchtime. You can try and pick the same subjects as your friends. There's no guarantee you get in those classes, right? But the next 8 weeks, this is your time. Your freedom. You get to choose who are the people that you want to spend time with. Who are the people that you want to have in your house, go to their house. Who are the people that you want to have influence you over the next 8 weeks? This is a genuine, simple question that you get to have some control and say over. And I'd encourage you to think about it intentionally. Like, think about the opportunities that you have to connect with the people that you want to connect with, the people who you feel like actually bless you and help you grow and thrive, the people who are going to help you be those loving, kind, generous people, the people who are going to draw out the best in you, who are going to speak words of encouragement to you. These are the people you get to choose to hang out with over the next 8 weeks. Invest in those relationships. Know they'll make a difference. And know that then when you go back to school, hopefully, ideally, they'll have grown, they'll have developed, and they'll be the relationships that you will be able to lean into when you need it the most. See, the second thing he talks about is this focus on what we spend our time learning and thinking about. Now, this is really simple. Again, these things shape what we think about, what we talk about, how we interact with other people. For example, 8 years ago, I used to never really be into the basketball. I didn't quite get it. I never understood it because I always thought it's stupid that you get the ball in and then you go, here, your turn. And then they get to go down the other end and try and do the same thing. Like, why? If you're winning, keep winning. It's why I love AFL. You kick a goal, the ball goes back to the middle, and then you can just take it straight back off them and go and kick another one. And it's just like, ha, sucks to be you. You know, like, let's keep going. I love that. It's super competitive, and it's just like, it's none of this fairness stuff. Even the same with league. You just take it in turns, passing it to each other. It's stupid. Keep the ball, score as much as you can, win ruthlessly. That's what I think all sports should be like. But I got into basketball because my now wife loved to play basketball. And now I'm reading about it all the time. Like, I got up this morning and I thought, I think there was an early game on. And there was. Nuggets played Knicks, right? So I checked out the scores. I checked out all the info. I'm reading up. I go for the Thunder. So I'm trying to get like some hope that maybe we'll get better at some point, because anyone who follows the basketball knows that we just lost by 73 points the other day, which is woefully bad in basketball because, like I said, they take it in turns. So I don't know how you lose by that much when you get a go every second time. But we did, right? So but now I'm talking about it in my sermon. And now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, apparently there's a rumor that we're going to potentially trade our best player for Ben Simmons. I don't know why. But it's all out there, right? And I'm thinking about it. I'm learning about it. I'm talking about it. And now you're hearing about it. And all of these things are important. But when we choose what we want to spend time learning and thinking about, it shapes how we kind of see the world, how we interact with other people, the things that we meditate on, right? And for me this year, one of the things that I wanted to do was I've always wanted to read the Bible in a year. right? Now, as a pastor, I have read every single book in the Bible. I've read every single verse in the Bible, definitely, at least once or twice, because you kind of have to do it for Bible college. But I've never read it all in 1 year. I thought that would be a fun challenge to do. But I also knew that I would need some people to help me do it. Because, confession, and this is going on YouTube, so all of the people who are watching this later, please forgive me. But I'm a pastor, and sometimes I do forget to read my Bible. Please forgive me. Is that okay? No, not okay. I get a head shake. Not okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. But sometimes I do forget to read my Bible. I do miss a day or two every now and then. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to need some support. I'm going to need some encouragement because it will get really easy on day 123 going, I have 242 more days to go to feel like I wanted to give up. And so I decided I'm going to do the Bible reading plan and I'm going to get some friends to help me do this. So I invited some of my leaders to come along on the journey with me. And it's been awesome. It's been actually amazing. It's day 338 now, I think, something like that. And we're almost at the end. And I'm up to date, right? But the reason it was so important that I had other people with me was this principle of the people that I was spending time with. I needed to have other people around me who were going to help bless me and support me on what I wanted to do. I'd seen this like planned through, right? Now, about 6 or 8 weeks ago, I really fell behind, right? I was about 12 days behind on my Bible reading, which doesn't sound like much except for the fact that on the app, it has the day that you're up to and then it has what you've done and it's got a few days and I had to scroll across a few times before I actually found the last day that I'd finished. I was like, that's not great. And I've really fallen behind and it's really defeating because you go, I'm so close to the end, but also I've got so much to catch up on. And some of the chapters are super long, right? Like Jeremiah 51 or whatever. And it's just like you're scrolling for ages. Like you put it on an audio Bible. Sometimes that's what I'll do as a hack. It's like a 10-minute listen and you're like, oh, I got other things to do. But it's takes ages and I'm trying to get the courage up to do it. But I get a message from one of the leaders who's doing it. You guys know Matt Newland, the guy who wears the backwards cap and always goes, alrighty then, that guy. Yeah, Matt. He messaged me and he said, hey mate, I noticed you're a little bit behind, which was kind of him to not name how far behind I was. But he said, you're a little bit behind. How you doing? Is there anything I can do to help? And it was funny, that message just gave me all of the encouragement I needed. I was like, look, I've got my day off on Wednesday. I'm going to try and catch up a little bit. I'll try and read 6 or 7 on Wednesday. But when I see you on Friday, can you just double check how I'm going? He's like, yeah, sure, no worries. Anyway, we get to Friday. He's like, hey, I see you caught up. That's all he said. And I was like, yep, caught up. Because this guy, Matt, was helping me out. He was encouraging me, reminding me of what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it. And so I did. But the coolest thing has been in this app. It's the YouVersion Bible app. You can do a shared Bible reading plan so we can see what everyone's up to, but you can also comment on it. So nearly every single day, Izzy Peters comments her favorite verse and her reflection on it. And then I will sometimes put mine in or I'll talk to her about that. Then she'll talk back to me. And you have these conversations with people about something that you're learning that day. And then it's just encouraging and supportive and all of these great things. And then you get to come here and I go, I've learned all of this great stuff. And it means that when I come here, I've got more information to help you with your faith. I've got more opportunity to answer your questions. All of these things are really positive because of what I've been learning. And so my question to you is, over the next 8 weeks, is there something that you want to learn or lean into, something you want to think about? Particularly around your faith. I don't know what it is for you. Maybe it could be something you would like to get better at prayer, or you want to learn something about prayer or about worship, or maybe you just want to even learn why can I have confidence in my faith? Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. But I can tell you right now, if you go to your parents straight after this service and you go, hey, mum and dad, I'd really like to go and buy a book from Kurong just to help me learn something in the next 8 weeks for my faith. I can almost guarantee it that they will drive you straight to Kurong after the service. It's probably closed on a Sunday, which is silly but church. Anyway, sorry, I was just thinking about business. But you should go there and they will almost certainly buy you a book immediately because they will be stoked that you want to learn something about your faith. So, do it. Make the most of it. Tell them that Ben said that they should, right? Because it'll be good for you. But seriously, think about whatever the next 8 weeks do you want to learn? Is there a topic that you want to cover? Is there something that you'd love to know? Maybe you're looking at getting a girlfriend or a boyfriend you're interested in dating. You're how can I do it in a godly way, in a way that is the best way possible? Go find a book on it, read about it. What do you want to learn about? What do you want to think about? Because these things matter. I invite the band up. and keys up. So we're going to get ready to sing together in a moment. But I just think it's really important for us because as much as like we're about to take 8 weeks off from school and all that kind of stuff, it's still an opportunity for us to grow and learn and develop, particularly in our faith. It's more opportunity and more space for you to potentially spend some time just reading, praying, catching up with friends, doing the right things, like all that kind of stuff. There's more opportunity for you guys to be really intentional about that and make some decisions now that are actually going to help you next year as well. So I'd love to encourage you to think about that, to consider who are the people that you keep company with, what are the things that you're learning and thinking about, because these two things have a huge impact in whether you are going to live a blessed, thriving, growing life in all that God has in store for you, all that God calls you to be. Those two things are two of the most critical things. That's why I think the psalm starts with it. It's why I think it is a consistent theme throughout the Bible, because they recognize, God knows the importance of it. So why don't you stand on your feet? We're going to sing together, but I'd love to, as we sing, to consider this. Is there someone that you need to connect with these holidays, to try and make an intentional decision to invest in your relationship with them? And 2, is there something that you think would actually be good for you to try and lean into and learn? Maybe it's just doing a Bible reading plan. Maybe it's getting a book. Maybe it's just reading some articles on the internet, but I don't know what it is. But is there something you just go, I should really learn a little bit more about that? That would be really helpful for me. And then think about it, learn it, talk about it, all that good stuff. Let me pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this morning. Lord, I thank you for each person in this room. And Lord, I thank you for the love that you have for them and the care that you have for them too, Lord. And we pray that as we consider how we can live a blessed life, a life that is growing and thriving, Lord, a life that is alive to you, Lord, I pray that you would help us to consider the company that we keep, the things that we're learning and thinking about. And Lord, we pray this in your name. Amen.